And we're live. Good morning, everyone. It's about 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Or good evening to my folks in Hong Kong or Asia. This is Fast Track Crypto and Reviews. Coming at you with another video. Maybe a part 2. The East. The ongoing news and latest on digital assets in the East. Hong Kong exchange license. This is a continuation from an interview we covered about 24 or 48 hours ago. Important conversation today. We'll talk about the rules and regulations and how it's going to work. Now, everyone watching this channel, Fast Track Crypto Reviews, please like and subscribe. Click that notification bell and comment below. Let me know what you think about the ongoings, news, and latest in digital assets. Hong Kong. As we get started, I'd like to let you know about Uphold, home of the altcoins. It's a great exchange. If you're a Westerner, Uphold has 250 plus cryptocurrencies in 150 countries, over 10 million users. Build your digital assets. You'll gain access to all the popular cryptocurrencies. I've personally used this exchange since 2017. It's always done well. Now, if you look in the description, in the link, you can gain $20 of free Bitcoin on your purchase if you purchase $250 of cryptocurrency. Not a bad deal. So once again, that's Uphold Exchange. All right, let's get into it.
Adrian, one of the new areas which is quite novel that has been introduced as a part of the regulation is the fact that the onus has been put on the firm to take responsibility. So therefore, a new criterion has been put in place that requires the firm to have an admissions committee. So that admissions committee has to meet. If it wishes to list a specific token, Adrian has mentioned some of the characteristics that can be used as a part of the diligence process. But the most important thing is the firm will need to take responsibility, and the responsible officers will need to take responsibility for this. So a due diligence list of why the firm has made these decisions to allow Bitcoin and Ethereum to be listed, that the fact that they're listed on 2 or 3 exchanges or different products, or they're approved somewhere else, all of that information and background has to be in the report that actually is tendered to this admissions committee. And all of that needs to be minuted by the licensed person. And
Okay. So let me give you a little breakdown. This is Laura Shen. She's a no-coiner. She just gets content and delivers the news. And she's interviewing Angela Kwan and Adrian Lai. They're seasoned professionals in the Hong Kong crypto industry. One's from the commercial. Adrian Lai's coming from the commercial standpoint, and Angelina Kwan comes from the regulator side of things. Now, what she's doing is she's giving you the internal protocols that companies, or pretty much the rules that companies must have in place to operate an exchange, and the internal controls that they are required to have to be able to list coins, and they need to explain the decision making process and the qualifications from the coin. For example, a coin needs to be listed on two different independent indexes or exchanges for at least 12 months. And then the onus is put on the firm and the firm owner in case the coin ends up not being a viable investment product. Let's keep it moving.
Why is the SFC taking such a stance on this? Is because they do not, and they did not approve the product. Unlike any other product in Hong Kong, if you offer a fund in Hong Kong, that has to be licensed by the investment products division of the SFC. It will be authorized, and there will be all sorts of documentation on why the SFC approved that product. But for Bitcoin, for Ether, none of this has been approved by the SFC. It's just appeared because of Satoshi Nakamoto or Vitalik Buterin, and it's up to the firm then to take the responsibility. And if the firm lacks that documentation and that due diligence, I think the SFC will take action. Maybe in the beginning, giving a bit of leeway, but firms will need to get their paperwork and due diligence in line to make sure.
Okay, very powerful what she just explained. All of the investments products previously in Hong Kong are approved by the Securities Commission for Futures, their regulating authority for investments. All of them are approved, except for digital assets, because they came into fruition before the regulators were prepared for it. They just simply don't have regulation for it. So what they've done is they put the onus on the firm and the protocols. They put rules in place, but the exchange takes responsibility once again. Now, the regulators say you need to have your paperwork in order to explain that you've taken responsibility, but that at the end of the day, you've got to document everything and prove that that's what you're doing. You're taking responsibility for these digital assets, and the regulators are vowing to nail them up if they don't make it safe for retail investors.
That they protect investors. And I think that's a very novel way of making sure that firms make sure that they have the analysis before allowing a sand or a doggy coin or whatever it is to be unleashed on investors. And investor protection is in place. So that's just building on what Adrian was saying. But this was a very unusual and new way of looking at things, which I thought was quite interesting. And I asked Elizabeth at length. Elizabeth is the young lady who did the policy and wrote the policy.
And what's her last name?
Elizabeth Wong was the team lead that actually drafted much of it. Of course, within the commission, everybody drafts policy together, but she actually was the lead person taking that. And I had interviewed her through another interview at the Hong Kong Securities Institute to ask about this and other questions. So,
I mean, it seems like this is kind of a tempered way of inviting crypto, right? It's like,
very much.
We're going to license the exchanges. There are these certain standards about listing tokens. And some of the other things that I think I saw discouraged, like one of them was airdrops. Like, what are some other kind of like parameters they've put around these things? So, it's like inviting crypto activity, but only within a certain boundary.
that the people running it will be licensed and be held accountable, and you will know exactly who is running the firm, and that they will be located in Hong Kong. So it's very clear whether or not they're going to be licensed or not. And it'll be very clear, unlike what happened with FTX, of where are you going to get recompense. If you've opened an account in Hong Kong, then you can take action in Hong Kong. The regulator will take action if you complain. And there'll be a way that you can grab onto something. Whereas if you know with FTX now, for those of the people that have taken losses, Hong Kong investors, because they didn't sign up with a Hong Kong licensed company, were at the last in the line to get any recompense, if anything, from the FTX proceedings that are going on in the United States. But in the United States and Bahamas, they will actually get the first bite of the cherry in terms of funds going back to the aggrieved investors. So that's a very, very big difference to protect investors.
Okay, so when you look at investor protection in Hong Kong, the exchange owner will be in Hong Kong. They will probably require them to have some sort of residence. And so for you to be able to invest, you have to have some sort of business in Hong Kong, or you need to sign up in Hong Kong. Like the Hong Kong jurisdiction is going to be pretty much everything. And so if you complain, you're going to complain to the Hong Kong authorities that you've lost money and you weren't protected, and the exchange owner is going to be, located in Hong Kong. Unlike FTX, he did everything, offshore from the USA. I think it was the Bahamas. He set it up through. It was kind of an international exchange, and it was operating, taking U.S. funds. When it all went belly up, people didn't really have a direct line to get their funds or to be able to hold someone accountable. Like, it went through all these different channels, and all these different entities got first dibs at getting their funds restored besides the actual, investors, the U.S. investors. So this is a much different system, much more protective of the investor in Hong Kong.
Sorry, I'm talking a lot. Adrian, did you want to add in stuff or?
No, I think it is really you actually strike a really good point in terms of the RO, because RO, responsible officers, again, same as any type of regulated activities in Hong Kong, they are held responsible for any actions you're going to take. It reflects on the RO level, also reflect on the company level, which is quite unusual, as Angelina mentioned, that you approve internally based on due diligence and certain token to get listed, but at the end it's the company to be blamed. It's quite a different approach from rest of the other kind of companies to be regulated.
And for those of us who are ROs, I'm also an RO or responsible officer. It's criminal if something goes wrong. It's my head, my license. So I'm going to be very careful with the decisions that I make. I'm going to make sure that the company is protected as well as investors are protected, because I don't want to be carted off to jail. And you have seen actions being taken against responsible officers who have been derelict in their duties. And I mean, that's a firm is as strong as the people that run it. And that's why that regime is in place. And this is to make sure that digital assets as a licensed activity will be good for investors and will protect investors. And I think that's the great part of all of this, because we're on our pathway to become really an accepted asset class, at least in Hong Kong and in Asia Pacific.
Yeah, I definitely see this as being a good model for other jurisdictions as well. So in a moment, we're going to talk about other areas of regulation that we could see coming out in Hong Kong. But first,
so you did get that right. So the responsible officer as well as the firm are held to account. The individual can't get away. So like she said, she is a RO for her firm, and she's got to be very careful with the decisions because she doesn't want to be derelict in her duties because she's going to be carted off to prison, plain and simple.
Quick word from the sponsors who make this show possible. Join over 10,000 attendees for this year's biggest crypto event at Token 2049 Singapore on September 13th to 14th. Sandeep from Polygon, Eric Wall, Chris Berniski, and over 200 others will hit the stage, joining the industry's most influential for an unforgettable experience ahead of the Formula One Grand Prix race weekend. Singapore will transform into a crypto hub for a week from September 11th to 17th, with over 300 side events that will make for unparalleled networking opportunities. Builders and investors at the bleeding edge of innovation will drive an agenda that covers the ever-evolving regulatory landscape, the convergence of crypto and AI, Web3 gaming, NFTs in the metaverse, DeFi, scalability, interoperability, and many more. Visit token2049.com for 65% off regular tickets with the code UNCHAINED, link in the description. Join over 80 million people using Crypto.com, one of the easiest places to buy, trade, and spend over 250 cryptocurrencies. With the Crypto.com Visa card, you can spend your crypto anywhere and get rewarded at every step. Up to 5% cash back instantly, plus 100% rebates for your Netflix and Spotify subscriptions, and 0 annual fees. New users enjoy 0 credit card fees on crypto purchases in their first 7 days. Download the Crypto.com app and get $25 with the code LAURA. Link in the description. Back to my conversation.
I left that ad up because I think that event is very important. It's in Singapore during the week of September 9th to the 13th. All the major players in the crypto industry are going to be there, and I am going to try to be there for Fast Track Crypto Reviews, get as many interviews, as many contacts as possible. So I will keep you up to date and in tune on that event. It's in Singapore in September. It's going to be outstanding. Let's keep it moving.
With Angelina and Adrian. Something that was really interesting to me was that I read that the Hong Kong Monetary Authority is even urging banks to open accounts for crypto companies, which, given everything that has happened recently in the US with Silvergate and Signature Bank and even Silicon Valley Bank a little bit, and the debanking of a bunch of crypto companies here, it just seemed like a geopolitical play, I guess you could say. So I was wondering, is that kind of activity actually drawing crypto firms? And, given what we were talking about in terms of this sort of limited kind of space in which to play with all the different regulations, is all of this actually attracting crypto companies?
I think it is. What about you, Adrian?
Well, definitely. Well, but there's always a question. So when these things happen on the news and you heard portfolio asking, is that real? Because usually people are pretty skeptical towards what's happening in Hong Kong. Because over the past several years, we have been talking about how we can propel crypto. But at the end of the day, we know that it was real this time. But people outside Hong Kong doesn't know it's real. So put it this way, I think there was a Bloomberg article coming out when Silvergate, all of those banks got shut at that time. And when Chinese banks is trying to recruit crypto companies for bank accounts, and Bloomberg was doing that news. Actually, I was contacted by Bloomberg on that as well, but I was not sure whether it's real or not. Because when I talked to all these Chinese banks at that time, I think there was conversations for not too senior level with the RMs, relationship managers with clients in terms of opening bank accounts. So I was still not convinced it was more policies in place or a narrative in place that banks are going to open up crypto accounts until I think some of the even virtual banks in Hong Kong talk about it. So you see there's a spread of this kind of messaging across news outlet, and banks start to talk about that. I think portfolios start to get comfortable. And even until last 2 weeks, some of our portfolios want to open a bank account, just operating bank account. So it's not crypto in and out all days, but just a crypto company trying to open a bank account with banks is actually getting easier. So believe it or not, I think the relationship managers 3 years ago, you talk to them, not as a crypto company. You talk to them and tell them you're a technology consulting company or you're a technology advisory company to get rid of that, even though your whole website is all blockchain, this and that. But if you
Okay, quite interesting. So banks are now open to crypto companies, you know, via the Hong Kong Monetary Authority applying pressure. So before it wasn't allowed, right? So like Adrian Lai is saying, they would try to approach banks as some sort of technology consultant, try and get around the rules because blockchain and digital assets weren't approved, but now they're approved, and so crypto companies can apply to get bank accounts and get the access to funds and transactions and transfers and everything that they need to operate fluidly, you know, in conjunction with the banking system. The banks are no longer a foe. They're actually a willing participant and a partner. So this is outstanding. We're going to leave it here for today. I don't want this video to get too long. I think it's outstanding conversation. I think it's very good for the crypto industry overall. Like I said, it's global. Look at my video as I talked about the West and everything that's coming on, you know, in the Western part of the world, as far as the new exchanges that they're applying for with EDX Exchange, partnership with Citadel and Fidelity and a few other major players, legacy players. They're only accepting Ethereum, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin for the legacy system and investments. And then you see here in the East how the Hong Kong exchanges are opened up to, you know, it says 16 different digital assets. They haven't really outlined exactly which ones, but, you know, it's a lot more than just those 4. And their technique is to put the onus, you know, on the responsible officer and the firm, and then hold them accountable because they don't have particular regulations set up for digital assets. And then in the West, you know, they got those foreign, they got, you know, lawsuits with Coinbase and Binance and everything like that. But like I said, Binance is rumored to be coming to the East in Hong Kong and getting a license there, which I'm sure they'll be qualified to do, being the largest exchange in the world. Very interesting. We'll do a part 3 because there's a bit more of this conversation to be had, and they're really dropping jewels here. They're really dropping fires. So stay tuned. This is Fast Track Crypto Reviews. Like and subscribe. I know you're getting value out of this content. Comment below and let me know what you think, if that's a good technique with the Hong Kong approach to holding the firm and the responsible officer accountable. What do you think about the Hong Kong Monetary Authority applying pressure to banks to allow crypto firms to open crypto bank accounts? I think it's very interesting. Let me know what you think. That's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you next time. Peace.